Have you ever seen someone so attractive, or maybe someone so important in your office, that your brain just completely, and I mean completely shuts down?
Oh, absolutely. It is like a universal experience. You want to just walk over and say a simple hello, but suddenly you forget how to speak English.
Right. It is like your throat forgets how to work.
Yeah.
You just stand there holding your coffee or your cup of chai, staring at them, and your heart is beating so fast.
It is the scariest feeling, honestly. Your hands start sweating and you have no idea where to put them. Like, should I put them in my pocket? Should I cross my arms?
Aha, exactly. It is a total system failure. And today in our deep dive, we are talking exactly about this problem. We are looking at a really practical guide on how to overcome this social paralysis and just start a natural conversation.
I am so excited for this. Because we all like to think we are so smart and confident, right? We do our jobs, we drive in crazy traffic, we handle our daily lives.
Yeah, we survive the local trains and the busy markets.
But then, you put us in a room with someone we really want to impress, and boom, we become totally terrified. Hundreds of years of evolution just disappear.
It is so true. And our mission today is to give you, our listener, a very simple, easy toolkit. We want to help you find that perfect balance between feeling confident and keeping things incredibly simple.
Because it does not matter if you are talking to a crush at a cafe or a big boss at an office party, the fear in your brain is exactly the same.
The exact same fear. So let's start by looking at why this happens. According to the psychological guide we are studying today, there are two main villains. Two big reasons why saying a simple hello feels like climbing Mount Everest.
Right. And those two big villains are overthinking, which is basically that endless voice in your head saying, what should I say? What should I say? And the fear of rejection.
Ugh, the fear of rejection. Just saying that out loud gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
That voice that says, what if they ignore me? Or what if they think I am weird?
It is a horrible feeling. But, we should explain why this fear is so strong. Because these are just thoughts, right? Why do they make our bodies freeze up and sweat?
Yeah, why does my heart pound just because I want to say hi to a girl at a party?
Well, it goes back to human evolution. Thousands of years ago, if our ancestors were rejected by their group or their tribe, it was a very big deal.
I mean, like a life or death situation.
Exactly. If the group didn't like you, you were pushed out into the jungle alone. You wouldn't survive. So isolation meant literal death.
Oh, wow. So my brain actually thinks I'm going to die if this person ignores my hello?
Yes. Your brain does not know you are just at a corporate networking event in Mumbai or Bangalore. It thinks, if this conversation goes badly, we will be kicked out of the tribe and eaten by a tiger.
Ha, that is crazy. But it makes so much sense. That is why your brain hits the emergency brakes.
Yeah.
But the guide makes a really strong point here. It says, if you keep thinking, you will never speak.
Because the overthinking actually guarantees that you will fail. You stand there trying to plan the entire conversation in your head before you even say a single word.
Right. You are trying to guess what they will say and then what you will say back. It reminds me of a smartphone or a computer crashing because it is too full.
Oh, I love that analogy, like cognitive load. Tell me more about the phone idea.
Okay, so imagine you pick up your phone. You just want to do one simple thing, like open the camera to take a photo. That should be very fast.
Yeah, it should just take 1 second.
But, unbeknownst to you, in the background, you have 50 heavy apps open. You are downloading a movie, you are playing a heavy video game, and you have 20 Chrome tabs open. What happens when you tap the camera app?
The whole phone just freezes, the screen stops working.
Exactly, the spinning wheel of death. And that is exactly what happens in our brain. We want to do one simple thing, say hello. But in the background, we are running all these heavy, scary what-if scenarios.
What if my voice sounds funny? What if I have food in my teeth? What if everyone is looking at me?
Yes. You have all those apps open in your head, the brain gets tired, and it just freezes. I want our listeners to really think about this for a second. Think about a time you stood across the room, looking at someone you wanted to talk to, and you just did nothing.
Oh, we have all been there. You just wait and wait until the person finally leaves.
I remember being at a huge office party. There was this senior director I really admired. He was standing alone near the buffet table, just looking at his phone. It was the perfect time to say hi.
So did you go talk to him?
Nope. I stood behind a pillar for 20 minutes. I was sweating, thinking, should I ask about his recent project? Should I make a joke about the cold samosas? By the time I decided, he had already walked out the door.
Ah, that is so painful. But it is the perfect example. You didn't fail because you had a bad conversation. You failed because your background apps used up all your battery before you even started.
Exactly. So if overthinking is the sickness, what does the guide say is the medicine? How do we fix this?
The cure is actually shockingly simple. But it is very hard for smart people to accept. The number one rule is don't try to be perfect. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. It literally suggests saying basic things like, "Hi, how are you?" or "Hey, how is your day going?"
Yes. And it strongly warns us against using complicated lines or what it calls trying too hard.
Okay, but I have to stop you there. I am thinking like our listener right now. If I'm at a fancy event or if I see a really beautiful person, doesn't "Hi, how are you" sounds super boring.
That is what everyone thinks.
Right. I feel like I need to stand out. If I say a boring line, won't they just ignore me?
Well, this is a very common trap. We think that to be memorable, our first sentence has to be a magical movie dialogue. We think we need to sound like a superstar.
Yeah, exactly.
But think about the pressure that creates. When you walk up and say something highly complicated or really clever, you are making the situation very stressful for the other person.
Oh, that makes sense. You are turning a normal greeting into a performance.
Right. And nobody wants to be forced into a performance while they're just relaxing. If you use a complicated line, you are forcing them to think really hard to give you a clever answer back.
It is like giving them a pop quiz. If I walk up to a stranger and say, "What is the biggest regret of your career?" I'm asking them to do so much mental work. That is exhausting for them, especially if they're just drinking water.
Exactly. It creates friction. But simple greetings work because they have zero friction. Hi, how's your day going? Is so easy to answer. It is very low pressure.
It is just unlocking the door.
Right.
The goal isn't to make them fall in love with you in one sentence. The goal is just to see if the door is open.
Exactly. It is a soft toss.
Yeah.
And the guide also points out something very funny about human nature. Even if you spend 20 minutes planning the perfect opening line,
You usually forget it anyway.
yes, you get nervous, your adrenaline spikes, and you end up saying something totally weird instead.
I have done that. I planned a smooth joke, and when I walked up, I literally just said, "Nice weather, very sunny," at night. It was terrible.
Haha. Oh no. But see, if your plan is just, hi, how are you? It is impossible to forget. It gives your brain flexibility.
Okay, so we agree to drop the movie dialogues. But how do we make that simple hello feel natural? Like, if I just walk up to someone randomly and say hi, won't it feel a bit strange?
That brings us to a really cool strategy. The guide calls it contextual anchoring. It basically means using your surroundings, the environment you are both in, to start the conversation.
Finding common ground.
Exactly, finding something common. The guide gives some great realistic examples, like, I saw you in the morning session, or you were in that marketing meeting, right?
Or even something about the location. Like, the line for the coffee is moving so slowly today, right?
Yes, that is a perfect one.
I really like this strategy because it shifts the pressure. If I walk up and give a cheesy compliment, all the pressure is on me. I am basically saying, "Please judge me." But if I complain about the coffee line,
You are pointing at a third object. Psychologists call this triangulation. It is not just you and them anymore. It is you, them, and the slow coffee machine.
right, it tells the other person, "Hey, we are in the same boat. We are experiencing the same annoying thing." It creates an instant, tiny connection.
And it makes you feel safe to their brain. Let's look at the real-life example the guide gives because it is brilliant. It suggests saying, hi, I see you here often. Do you work here?
It is so completely low pressure.
Yeah.
And the response they give in the guide is, "Yeah, I do. What about you?"
That little what about you is the golden ticket.
It really is, because the question is so easy and related to where they are, they don't have to think hard. And it naturally invites them to ask you a question back. You just turned a scary monologue into a friendly dialogue.
Now, this brings up a very tricky part of the advice. The guide talks about something we can call the authenticity paradox.
The authenticity paradox. That sounds intense. What does it mean?
Well, the guide says it is very important to be confident. It tells you to speak clearly and calmly.
Okay, that sounds like standard advice.
But then right after that, gives a huge warning. It says, don't try to act too cool. Don't be fake. Keep it real.
Wait, that is super confusing. Because if I am terrified to talk to someone, my real state is nervous. My hands are shaking. So if I keep it real, shouldn't I just say, "Hi, I'm shaking right now because you scare me"?
Haha. Well, maybe not quite that. But you are hitting on the exact problem. How can you speak calmly if your body is panicking without faking it? Isn't acting confident basically being fake?
Yeah, I feel like I need to put on a fake James Bond mask just to survive the interaction.
And that is the biggest mistake people make. We think confidence means arrogance or acting like you don't care at all. But true confidence, according to this psychology, is just having the courage to be yourself.
But doesn't the James Bond mask protect me? If they reject me, they are rejecting the fake mask, not the real me.
That makes sense logically, but biologically it ruins you. Remember the apps running in the background idea?
Yeah, the cognitive load.
If you are terrified, but you are trying to act like a super smooth movie star, your brain has to run a massive, heavy app called Maintain the Fake Persona.
Oh, wow. So I'm constantly monitoring myself.
Constantly. You are checking your posture, making sure your voice sounds deep, checking to see if they believe your act. That takes so much mental energy. It literally makes your heart beat faster and makes you sweat more.
That is mind-blowing. The act of trying to look cool is actually creating the physical nervousness.
Exactly. When you just drop the act, your body relaxes.
Yeah.
When you give yourself permission to just be a normal, maybe slightly nervous human being who is saying hello, the pressure goes away.
You are no longer doing a stage performance. You are just a guy asking about the coffee machine.
Right. You become calm because you put down the heavy weight of pretending. This reminds me of the advice the guide gives about humor.
Oh, yes, it's light humor is great, right?
It is. Laughing together releases bonding hormones. But the rule is, the humor must be simple and observational.
So, no trying to be a stand-up comedian.
Please know, if you try a rehearsed, sarcastic punchline, you are back on stage performing. You boot up that heavy background app again.
I have a terrible memory of this. In college, I tried to use a funny, sarcastic line I heard on a TV show to talk to a girl. I said it wrong. She just stared at me like I was an alien and I wanted the earth to swallow me.
Oh, yeah, that is so painful. But it proves the point. If you just made a light joke about the music being too loud, it would have connected you.
Okay, let's do something fun right now. Let's play a quick little game to test this out.
Oh, I love games. Let's do it.
I'm going to give you a normal daily life situation, like an Indian context situation, and you have to give me a simple, natural opening line. Fast.
Okay, rapid fire. I'm ready.
Situation 1. You were at a friend's shadi, a wedding. You were standing near the food, right by the Golgappa stall. You see someone really cute standing next to you. What do you say?
I would probably just look at the food and say, hey, is the spicy water actually spicy today, or is it just sweet?
Oh, perfect. Very natural. Use the environment. Okay, situation 2. You're stuck in a slow-moving elevator at your office building with someone from another department you want to network with.
I would say, I think we could have taken the stairs and reached faster, right?
Haha, yes. So relatable. Zero pressure. Okay, last one. You are at a cafe and someone is reading a book you really love.
Ooh, I would just point and say, hey, I love that book. Are you enjoying it?
See. Simple, authentic, no James Bond mask required.
Exactly. And it proves that you don't need a magical line. Okay, so let's say the opening line works. You said your simple hello and they responded. What is the next step?
This is where we get to the absolute secret weapon of human connection. And honestly, it is the most ignored piece of advice ever.
The guide makes it very clear. Conversation is not just talking. You have to actively listen carefully and show interest in what they say.
It sounds so obvious,
Yeah.
right? But it is so hard to do when you are nervous. We get so scared about what we're going to say next that we become totally deaf.
It is so true. We become very selfish in our anxiety. We just focus on our own performance.
I hate that feeling. You ask someone a question like, how long have you worked here? And while they are answering, you are just staring at their mouth moving. In your head, you're screaming, what is my next question? Don't let there be an awkward silence.
And then they stop talking, and you realize you heard absolutely nothing they just said.
It is the worst. But the guide says showing genuine interest is the best way to fix this. It removes the spotlight from you.
Exactly. I like to think of conversation like a game of catch in a park. You are throwing a ball back and forth.
Oh, that is a great image. If you are only focused on how cool you look throwing the ball.
Right. If you are busy posing for the camera after you throw it, and you aren't watching the other person.
You are going to get hit right in the face when they throw the ball back.
Exactly. You have to pay attention to the return.
The opening line is just the first throw. The actual fun is in catching and returning. If you ask someone, are you enjoying the food? And they say, actually, I have terrible allergies, so I haven't eaten anything. You have to catch that.
If you ignore that and just ask your next planned question, like, so what are your hobbies? Well, you dropped the ball. You got hit in the face.
You totally ignored what they just handed you. A natural conversation means saying, oh no, you haven't eaten. We should ask the waiter if they have something safe for you.
And the beautiful thing is, when you actually listen to them, your own anxiety disappears. Your brain is too busy processing their words to worry about your fears.
It takes the pressure off. You don't have to be the most interesting person in the room. You just have to be the most interested person.
That is such a great rule for life. People might not remember the exact words you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And everyone loves feeling listened to.
Okay, we have talked about all the right things to do, but we have to be real here. What happens when you do everything perfectly? You keep it simple, you use the environment, you listen, and it still fails. The conversation just dies.
Ugh, the worst case scenario. It happens to everyone, even the most confident people in the world. And the guide gives very blunt but very comforting advice for this. It says, that's okay. Not every conversation works. Don't take it personally.
Don't take it personally. It's so easy to say and so incredibly hard to actually do.
It really is. Psychologists call this the fundamental attribution error. Basically, if an interaction goes bad, we automatically blame ourselves. We think, oh, I am boring, I am ugly, I'm awkward.
We think we are the center of the universe. If they didn't smile, it must be my fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But human behavior is so complicated. Think about the other person. They might just be having a really bad day.
Right. They might have a terrible headache.
They might be stressed about a message from their boss. They might be fighting with their partner.
Or maybe they are just really shy and socially anxious themselves. Maybe your simple hello triggered their own spinning wheel of death.
Exactly. It usually has absolutely nothing to do with you.
This is such a powerful realization. If you truly accept that a bad conversation is not your fault, you stop fearing rejection.
And if you stop fearing rejection, you stop overthinking.
And if you stop overthinking, your cognitive load is low, so you act naturally.
And because you act naturally, your chances of having a great conversation actually go way up. It is a positive cycle.
It really is all connected. When you take off that heavy armor of trying to be perfect, you become a much warmer, more approachable person.
Because the truth is, it is okay to fail. Not every conversation works out. Give yourself permission to make mistakes.
Well, this has been an amazing discussion. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap for our listeners who are learning English. Let's give them 3 simple, useful phrases they can use today to start a conversation naturally.
Great idea. Number 1, keep it basic. Just say, hi, how is your day going?
Number 2, use the environment. If you're waiting for something, say, this line is moving really slowly today, right?
And number 3, active listening. When they answer, use a simple reaction like, oh, really? Tell me more about that.
Perfect. So easy to remember. Just simple English, no complicated grammar needed.
It really is that simple.
So as we finish our deep dive today, I want to ask you for one final provocative thought. Something our listeners can think about the next time they are standing in a crowded room feeling paralyzed.
Well, if the whole goal is to keep it real and show genuine interest, I think we need to change how we think about an opening line. We spend so much time worrying about the perfect words. But maybe the most attractive opening line isn't something you speak with your mouth.
Oh, what is it then?
Maybe the best opening line is the calm, low-pressure, genuinely curious energy you bring into the room.
The vibe you carry with you.
Yes. So the question I want you, our listener, to think about is this. How would your next interaction change if you walked into a room with absolutely nothing to prove and absolutely everything to learn about the people around you?
Wow, walking in with nothing to prove and everything to learn, that takes all the pressure completely off.
It really does. You can just relax and be yourself.
I love that so much. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the art of conversation. Until next time, remember to take a deep breath, keep your English simple, and we will catch you in the next one.